Thanks everyone for having me here. I'm gonna present my work called DuoLoRA Cycle Consistent Rank-disentangled Content Style Personalization. This is a joint work with Qualcomm AI Research, where I did my internship last summer, and this is a joint work with Shubhankar, Shreya, Rishek, Devasmit, Ankita, Eugene, Shweta, Rama, Munavar, and Fatih. So let me get in the problem. So with the problem here we are addressing is content style personalization. So for example, if you have a style image and a content image, how you can efficiently blend those two content and style image in a single output. That is the challenge we are having. Um, and now actually I'll give a brief overview of the goal of the problem, challenges, and the novelty of our work. So as I mentioned earlier, the goal is joint personalization of content and style. And the challenge is here that like earlier there are some work which actually have this neural style transfer, but they require a lot of data to train from. So the challenges here we are particularly addressing is that can we learn this joint content style from fewer examples? And in this context, basically, we provide this novelty that we propose a rank dimension masking strategy. And we use this layer prior information of diffusion unit for better content style encoding. And additionally, we also propose cycle consistency between content and style for better merging. A little bit of background. So I think most of you are kind of aware of like the low rank adapters. So low rank adapter or LoRa is a parameter efficient fine tuning method to fine tune large vision language model or large LLMs. And what it does basically, suppose if you have this weight matrices of a large model called W, instead of learning the whole model, you can just learn this small matrices A and B, and these are like more parameter efficient. And it has been shown earlier that learning these matrices A and B are sufficient to instead of learning the whole model. Yeah, a bit of related work in this domain. So we cast the content style personalization as a LoRa merging problem. Suppose if you have a low rank adapter trained on a stable diffusion model for content image, like we call it WC, and suppose another LoRa is trained on the style image, we call it WS. How we can merge those two efficiently? One very naive approach would be just make their low rank adapters, low rank component, and add some uh, scalar addition blending. But as you can see that this scalar blending would be much more efficient because it might have concept interference and concept mismatch, this kind of stuff. For that, basically, recently there's a paper called ZipLoRA. What they did, so suppose if you have two low rank adapter trained individually on content and style, what they did, so at the output dimension of this low rank adapter, they are learning some mask and try to make sure those masks are independent to each other by minimize their cosine similarity of the mask, for example, MC and MS. Yeah, so this method is kind of efficient, but here we have these authors have a implicit assumption that context and style are independent to each other. That's why their goal is to minimize their interference or to make them more independent. But now our motivation is that so all of the LoRa merging work, they have this implicit constraint that all the LoRas has to be in the same rank, else they can't be combined efficiently. For example, but in real life there could be some complex scene or simple scene. Based on that, your low rank adapter rank should vary. For example, if it is a complex scene, the LoRa might need higher effective rank, and if it is simple scene, it might need a lower effective rank. But the current method can't handle these different ranks. So we kind of address that and try to make sure some kind of method which is input dependent rank selection can be used. So as I mentioned, the motivation is how to provide adaptive rank flexibility while LoRa merging. And since we are learning from small data, so we also investigate the diffusion unit layers, how it actually how it actually contribute to content and style generation. And additionally, we also propose to use cycle consistency between content and style to effectively merge the content and style LoRas. So here's the TLDR of DuoLoRa. So as I mentioned earlier, the ZipLoRa, they suppose if we have a content image, one LoRa adapter trained for content images called content LoRa, and another LoRa adapter trained for style images called style LoRa adapter. So they, as I mentioned earlier, they kind of learn the mask in the output dimension and try to make sure those are independent to each other. Instead of doing that, we get a very simple trick which solve multiple problems. So instead of like learning the mask in the output dimension, we learn the mask in the rank dimension here. As you can see that this now since the mask is in the rank dimension, based on the input, it can select adaptive rank. And this actually significantly reduce the number of variable parameter. For example, for a SDXL architecture, it actually reduced the number of variable parameter by 19x time. And since we are kind of disentangled in the rank space, it actually provides better merging. Now, this is the TLDR. Now, our DuoLoRa have multiple components. I'm gonna explain those one by one. So, as I mentioned, this DuoLoRa had three components. First of all, it called ZipRank, that instead of like learning the mask in the output dimension, we learned the mask in the rank dimension and we called it ZipRank. So the like kind of formulation is would be like instead of like B into A into M, it could be into M into A this way. Next, since there could be lot of like diffusion model, there will be lot of layers, and we want to understand which layers are more important for content generation and which layers are more important for style. So to that, we kind of do this kind of interpretability study, and we kind of find out that the innermost layer of the diffusion units are more content dominant block. And the intuition is that you can see in an image, the content is a content is a local concept because content is localized to some specific part. Contrary to that, style is a global concept because you can see that style is all over the image. So since content is a local concept, we kind of envision that the diffusion layers which have lower receptive field, they are able to capture the local detail for for example, the content. And if the layers which have like more higher receptive field, that those are able to capture the global details, like for example, the style all over the images. And while we investigate, we find out that the in diffusion unit, the innermost layers, those are more, those more have like lower receptive field, and those are more content dominant block. And the outermost layer, like for example, this like pink kind of layer, so those outermost layer have higher receptive field. So therefore, those are able to capture the global detail, for example, style. And once we kind of identify which layers are content dominant and style dominant, we provide this implicit rank constraint that, okay, if it is a content dominant block, make sure the content merger rank should be higher than style merger. And if it is style dominant block, make sure the rank of style merger should be higher than rank of content merger. Now, we kind of cast this rank optimization problem with some constraint that we make sure that when we are learning the mask, we make sure the mask should be sparse, subject to the rank constraint holds. And we find out that this rank optimization problem can be cast as a like combination is a loss. You can cast recast is a loss function with a combination of sparsity norm and nuclear norm. And for example, the rank optimization problem is actually boils down to a nuclear norm minimization problem. So we kind of use this fact to propose that when we are merging, we are minimizing this loss function, which is a combination of sparsity and nuclear norm. So the derivation has been provided in the paper. You can refer to that. And yeah, so I have done explaining two parts. One is ZipRank, which is like running the mask in the rank space, and layer priors, like which identify which layers are content dominant and style dominant, and make sure those constraints are added. Now the last part called cycle consistency. So content and style has this like interesting style cycle consistency that if you infuse a style image in a content and you revert it back, it becomes the same. So we kind of add this constraint here. So for example, I'm explaining here. Suppose if you have a content image IC, now you add the style with the style LoRa character, which is trained or earlier, and we add like we can infuse some style in the content image called ICS. Then we kind of remove the style to the same style LoRa character with the and the text prompt, and we can see that thus here the style is infused and retrieved back, and we make sure that the like reconstructed image should be consistent to each other. So that's why we call it like cycle consistency over style here. But here to notice that instead of like the just the original image, we can also pass it to the content load and character, so that it has some variation and it don't go into the mode collapse problem. So similarly for style image, we add content details using content load and character, and then remove the content details using the content load and character again, and make sure the reconstructed version should be consistent to each other. And this is basically cycle consistency with respect to content. Now we kind of add those two laws like cycle consistency with content and cycle consistency with style to propose this Constyle laws, which kind of improve the merging even further. So yeah, let me just summarize the thing. So we have three component. One is called ZipRank, where we are learning the mask in the rank dimension. Then we identify which layers are more content dominant and style dominant, and make sure those implicit rank constraints are applied. Additionally, we propose this cycle consistency where we add content details and style details in a cyclic consistency manner and make sure those reconstruction loss are minimized. So this is the overall method. Now we are going to the experimental result part. So we did a comprehensive analysis with respect to multiple benchmark like dream boost, style drop, subject blob and style drop, and custom 101 and style drop, which is more diverse variation of like uh, which is has like a diverse variation of content and styles. And we have noticed that we kind of did this analysis on this kind of metrics like dyno similarity, clip text similarity, and CSD metric, which is kind of more useful for to capture the style similarity. And we have find out that compared to the baselines, our method outperform with this kind of metrics and with very significantly less number of trainable parameter. For example, with SDXL architecture, we can see around 19x less trainable parameters is required for this content style merging, and with like less number of parameter storage and also training time, because LoRa's are very compute efficient. And here so this kind of visual studies are also need to be verified by human studies. So for that, basically we also performed like human study with Amazon Mechanical Turker, and we have seen that DuoLoRA actually perform significantly well compared to the baselines ZipLoRA, BLoRA, knife merging. And here we also provide the like ablation that we have shown that each of the component which kind of we propose that actually improve the like merging even far better. Yeah, here are some kind of uh, qualitative results where you can see that when you are like merging content and style, and for example here the content and style are merged using on one single images. So for example, you can see the naive merging and BLoRA, they kind of misplace some object or kind of mix the object completely or forget the object completely here. And ZipLoRA, when they are doing, they are also having some concept interference. But DuoLoRA kind of capture the content and style detail in a more better way and kind of do the merging efficiently. here are some kind of tasks, recontextualization tasks. So for example, if I have to say, okay, this content in this style doing something like riding a bicycle, sleeping, boat, or driving a car, can our method can handle those things? Because those are the implicit powerful nature of diffusion model. So when we are merging, so are we kind of losing the recontextualization ability of diffusion model? And we have noticed that it actually captures it actually performs pretty well for the recontextualization tasks. For example, when you are saying that this dog in this style sleeping, it actually closes his eye, and also the alien is sleeping, so it can actually lay down, so it does make sense. And also riding the bicycles, it actually kind of capture the geometry and how it should look like. It is capturing both. And also driving a car in the boat, it also makes sure that this actually looks good. Yeah. So how to extend this for multi-concept? So our method is actually called DuoLoRA because it can handle two concept at a time. But for multi-concept, you can kind of make it break it multiple two concept to LoRa adapter, and that's how we kind of extend it to multi-concept. But multi-concept, how we can do that? That is our next future work. So there are some example where compared to the baseline, naive merging and ZipLoRa, our multi-concept perform better. But the future work is to go how we can handle this in a multi-concept way. That is the future work of this work. And yeah, finally, thanks for listening. And the code and data and everything is open source, and you can like check it out. It will be great. Yeah, thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Aniket. That's amazing that you have also multi-control, multi-content in the pipeline.
Mhm.
I can see the advantage of dual LoRa with
Mhm.
a fewer parameters. You say 19x less,
Mhm.
and I think that also that avoids the heavy fine tuning that other methods need.
Mhm.
But for people building creative tools or running these kind of pipelines in production,
Mhm.
what real world wins that does this bring? Maybe faster personalization, more reliable style control, or better results with one or two images. What is the takeaways if they have already a production system?
Yeah, actually, the problem is kind of like motivated from the how it is make more production driven, because when actually I was interning with Qualcomm, their goal was to do something for the edge devices. So that's why our goal is to propose something which is more parameter efficient and can be like deployed on edge devices. And this kind of method, which like where we kind of like combine multiple LoRa in a rank space, that actually makes sure that your method is deployable on edge devices, and it could be production ready. This kind of things could be there.